Greetings and salutations, friend. I am Jeremy Tank, and if you are watching this, I am your brand guy. What does that mean? Well, in a day and an age and a world that we are living in, your brand, your personal brand, everything about you or your business or everything you are building is a reflection on you. And whether you are cognitive, choosing it, just trying to live and be, you are being categorized, judged, critiqued sometimes, certainly interpreted in certain ways from everyone around you. And coming at this from that perspective, just acknowledging that because you exist, because you are doing things, other people are going to make their opinions. Why not manage that a little bit, right? Why not think about, what am I putting out into the world? How am I doing that? What am I sharing with everyone? And what do I want to share? Am I sharing what I want to share with the world? And if you are working for somebody else, then your personal brand, who you are to your employer, to your contractee, to any employee especially, your personal brand is what you bring to the position. It is your leadership, your knowledge, your expertise, your communication, your teamwork. If you are the big boss of your company, then definitely how you manage, how you speak, the things that you share, how you motivate people, how you drive them forward. These are all part of the brand for you personally and your business. Everything we do these days creates these ripples out into the world. And the thing is that more and more every day, those ripples are seen by people around the world, and they make judgments based on their own life and their own history and their own perspective of things. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here sharing the stuff that I know to really get you excited about yourself, your own brand, your own future, and really starting to be the person you want to be. And what does that mean to the world? What possibilities are out there? Because you're amazing. I know it, and I see you through here, and I see that you are amazing. You are beautiful. You are wonderful. You are energetic and lively. And sometimes you don't feel that way, right? It's okay. That's kind of the world we live in. But we know, you and me, we know that you are enough. You are worthwhile. You are a beautiful human being just trying to live and survive and be happy, right? So let's work with that. Before I get too much further, I see my friend Teresa is on. Teresa, happy birthday today. And if everybody else wants to comment down below a little birthday cake or a birthday something for Teresa, happy birthday. You deserve it, my good friend. So one of the things I want to talk about today is the idea of identity and consciousness. Now, I've spent quite a while talking about the ideas of consciousness, of quantum consciousness, of a creative consciousness. The idea of the quantum field is essentially all possibility, everything waiting to happen just for you, waiting for you to create it. But there are other levels of consciousness that affect who we are. Why? Why do they affect who we are? Because the quantum idea is really this idea of all of the energy in the universe, all of it, which is all possibility, which is all of everything happening. But you know that as a human being, you can't possibly see or experience all of that, right? Unfortunately, this meat sack that we're in, it's not built to experience all of that. Literally, our brain holds certain levels of knowledge, certain abilities, and once it gets to a point of being kind of full, it starts becoming lazy. Efficient. How's that? It gets efficient. It likes to rewire certain things so that we can forget or move past or make other things easier for ourselves. You ever driven to work and in regular timing, you leave the house, you get to work, you get out of the car, and you're like, did I drive? Where did that happen? Oh, really? It's on higher, really? So this is one of the things, like the brain likes to do this. And part of it's that we're not built to experience all of reality. So we kind of understand that there is more to this experience than we are actually getting. Now, if you doubt that, we can just look at the eyes, for example. I've had to wear glasses, and these are very, very thin. Thank goodness for technology. I used to wear really thick glasses, and I've worn really thick glasses since about the 5th grade. And even then, people would say, well, my eyesight's perfect, and that's never been the case for me, so it's very difficult for me to live that reality. But there are lots of wavelengths of light that we simply don't see with our eyes. And physicists say that we can detect in some way about 5%, just 5, of the types of energy and the amount of energy when they measure the universe, or what's supposed to be in it. They can measure everything, and we detect about 5%. Now, that's not to say that we experience 5%. We can detect. We've got equipment, we've got tools, we've got all these different funky things that can tell us kind of what's going on, and then we make a guess about the rest of the universe based on this 5%. We're not very good at guessing as a human species. We've gotten it wrong many times. The Earth, is the center of the universe, for example. But eventually we come to different theories and we move forward. And science is one of those things that it takes a little bit longer for them to come around because they have to prove it to themselves what is true or not. And consciousness is one of those things that science is physics, okay? Biology recognizes there's a consciousness. There's fields, neuroscience is all about trying to find where consciousness lies. But a lot of this stuff, it's not in the brain. It's just plain not in the brain. It doesn't exist there. There are energies at work beyond what science is actually scanning, with functional MRIs. They can scan the whole body and they just don't find consciousness. They don't find creativity. They don't find imagination. We can absolutely see the results of these things as the brain lights up all over the place, reading a book or imagining a vacation or, talking to somebody that's a loved one or meditating. We can see the brain light up and does all these amazing things, but what's happening in that consciousness is a little bit still a question. Where is it coming from? And that's kind of lead us into what I want to talk about today. Last week I talked a lot about identity, and identity being this concept of who you are kind of inside. And the problem with identity is that we believe we have an idea of our identity, and it's sort of like the idea of everything in the universe. We really don't get a chance to experience our identity. Only those that we are with, that we express towards, that we communicate with, that we build this relationship with, they experience our identity. We experience the relationship of that identity, and frankly, their reflection back of whatever they think we're trying to say, do, be. It's a horrible mirror, because anything that comes out of my mouth towards somebody, you can only accept, hear, believe what it is that you can based on your experience, your life, your beliefs, your history, everything, right? So there's no guarantee that when you're talking to somebody that they are ever going to get even a quarter of what you're trying to say and then reflect it back. So oftentimes you get something like this, possibly. Or maybe that's just me. I get that look a lot. But I talk about subjects that not a lot of people kind of broach. So, it's fun for me. I like seeing that expression because there's opportunity there. There's potential there. That's somebody who hasn't lived this experience, who hasn't thought about some of these things, and maybe some of this will blow their mind. And I love that. I love that. And the challenge, though, also with that look, is that I interpret whatever that look is coming back at me from my history, from my experiences, from my beliefs, from my challenges, my traumas throughout my life. And that's why knowing your identity is sort of impossible for us as people, because we can't experience it. It's a block And it's a block that gets increasingly difficult the more we try to diagnose, more we try to fix this, because as we move forward in, let's say business, if you've ever worked in a corporate realm, you have to sort of conform to the way that the corporation is doing things. You have to buckle down and join their community and what's that old saying, drink the Kool-Aid, right? You have to kind of get on board with their mission, their vision. You are driving in their machine. They got to get you rowing in the right direction. And that's all about, to them, changing who you are, changing your identity and how you show up for them so that you can be more effective in that position. Now, not all companies are that way, I admit. And if you work with a company who's all about Seth Godin or Simon Sinek, they're all about the infinite game. They're about bringing people with their innate intelligence, their innate abilities and education into an organization and not plopping them into a space that is an open space and so, give them a job, but about finding something that is a place where they can act with their own intelligence and move forward. That's where I think corporations will be starting to move towards in the future, really, because that's a way that respects the individual and the company, and together in alignment, they can build things. That's really culture in terms of brand, building something that everybody comes together with an insight to sharing and communication and growth that's long-term and helpful and beneficial. I'm getting off topic. I get really passionate about that stuff, can you tell? So identity. Get my notes in order today. Love this. So identity. Part of what makes us who we are is... All right, let me take another step back. Let me take a step forward. When you come into this world, before you're ever born, your essence, you can call it a soul, you can call it a quantum consciousness, you can call it the vibrational aspect of you, light, energy that is bonded with the cells of a zygote, a fetus, an embryo, whatever stage that happens at. All of those cells that are building the future resonate with the vibration. And I'm not talking about the cells themselves, although that's true. I'm talking about the subatomic particles within the cells. I'm talking about the organelles within the cells, the mitochondria. I'm talking about the proteins that are manufactured in the cells. All of these molecular parts have an energy to them. They vibrate because protons are not solid within an atom. Protons are, densely packed energy. And electrons are, densely packed energy vibrating all around these things. And together, it's not like something is, shaking a martini, making something good, making a good drink. No, what it's like is this symphony of sound out of every single cell. Because if everything is vibrating like that, but they don't do it as if the beginning of a musical where all the instruments are warming up and playing at the same time. No, it's this beautiful, well-orchestrated, cosmic sort of thing where it builds. And it builds, and as they build, they connect and they construct, and the cells come together, and there is something that binds it, and that something is that frequency that I think is you. I think that's you coming into that vibration, coming into this life, and then being born. And when you're born, even before you're born, all of these pieces, all of these cells, all of that matter are experiencing what it's like to interface with the world in the womb, essentially, and sometimes out of the womb. That's a whole sensory experience. Your ears, the ears are the most attuned aspect at that stage of life, and you can actually listen and feel things going on around you and to your mother, and it's something that actually can program you on a cellular level. And this continues after you're born till about age of 7, when all of these experiences, all these things you go through, all the traumas in your life, because frankly, you haven't faced anything before, right? You haven't faced the world before, you haven't faced other people before, you haven't faced all the different things that can scare you before. Almost all of this stuff triggers, for the very first time in your life, these fight or flight reactions of varying degrees. And what happens is your body reacts, and you're not even really a conscious, cognizant person yet, but your body is reacting and influencing itself through the fight or flight response, through the polyvagal response, coordinating cells in the body, coordinating the way that your energy is harnessed and moved throughout your body in a really basic nature way that wants you to survive. The challenge, though, is that over time, this sort of builds your identity. It certainly hones your beliefs. It hones your emotional reactions. It affects the correct action that you interpret, you perceive based on an instant. It certainly colors past events that you have had, and those past events change because of the reticular activating system, this piece of you that says this is how the world is, and it coordinates all of your interpretation to match how you think it is. So all of your past events, all of your traumas, all of your emotions, all of your beliefs influence actually the inputs that you are receiving in any given moment. Any unwanted circumstances from your past, and that can look like pain, emotional or cognitive pain, as well as all your negative vision, meaning, I don't want this versus I want this, that negative vision of things. All of this impacts your identity. And your identity registers all of those in some really subtle beliefs. And some of these I learned about in RTT, and some of these are newer to me. And I think that they can all kind of wrap up in the identity dilemmas, right? The identity dilemmas are like, I'm not enough. That's a belief that we come up with when we are faced with these instances, these circumstances in which we have to react, we have to do something. And as a young child, oftentimes we're not able to accomplish that. I'm unworthy for some reason. How about don't belong? I'm not part of this group. I'm different. I don't belong there. These are all really important factors for us to get into and hold on to for ourselves. Another one is not capable. I'm not capable of doing it. It's beyond me. It's out of my reach. It's just not capable. How about I'm insignificant? That's another one that's tied right into like I'm not enough and I'm not worthy. I'm insignificant. I'm small. I need to demur. I need to hide in the corner. I need to not grab attention. I'm just insignificant. And the last one, I need to be perfect. It's sort of like I'm not enough. I need to be perfect. Everything I do needs to be perfect. And these are sort of generalized beliefs, right? If we have to sort of create a shape, a form, an idea of all of this is the little ball of these beliefs. This is what gets built up over time with these traumatic experiences, with the changes in our belief system as we grow up. And these are the things that sort of hold us back from becoming who we can be and how we can really approach the world. And the thing is that they affect everything about us. Now that I've been in the RTT field a little while, and I've been in the woo-woo field for a little while with my mom. She was very much a spiritual leader when she was still alive, and she was always talking about, people have money blocks, but it's not really money that's blocking them. It's not even a lack of money that's blocking them. It's an inability within them to see their full value, their full worth. And her perspective on things was like, look, you are loving and you are wonderful and you are a terrific human being and you deserve to have the wealth. And people will pay you well for doing what you do when you understand and embrace that you are absolutely worth that. So that was something I really learned from her. I pulled in from her, and that was all growing up for me. I got a lot of really positive messages for her. The challenge, though, is that I was still in a lot of that traumatic youth phase. And I would say all the way up to the point that she passed away, I was in that traumatic youth phase, which is challenging. But it also was a triumphant challenge because her passing made me actually reflect. I went back and read the 2 books that she wrote. And I went back and read so many different things so that I could actually come to the point of challenging my own beliefs. Like, do I actually believe the things that she taught? Yes, I do. I know that I am worthy of love, of money, of growth, of friendship, of prosperity, of the life that I deserve. Okay, I know that. That's the identity I hold inside. Am I showing others that? Am I embracing that enough to reach out and help other people with that? And no, I wasn't. This is me starting that now. This is me really getting out there and putting myself out there and trying to share my energy and my love and my devotion for people, because I want to help and I think that I can help. But for a long time, I really felt insignificant. And I'm not exactly sure where that came from, but that's something I'm still working through. And that's okay. Every single day is an opportunity to keep working through your issues. Guys, nobody is perfect. That's one of the things, right? I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. If you were perfect, you probably wouldn't be alive right now, because at least the way that I believe it, your frequency, your soul, your quantum being, your stream of the eternal consciousness, okay, it probably wouldn't have chosen here and now to bring you into the world. And you certainly wouldn't be listening to this because it wouldn't even matter to you. But you're here and you're listening, so thank you. I appreciate that. So the whole idea, though, is that there's all these things that influence your identity, and you can't experience your identity because you're busy being it. Just like your eyes don't see themselves, your fingers don't touch themselves, your teeth don't chew themselves. You have to chew something else. You have to touch something else. You can only experience you through somebody else. And really that's challenging, because what you experience from them is based in what you see in your own head and how you interpret it. Communication is challenging. So that's identity a little bit. And part of the reason identity is challenging, and I gave some of the reasons last week a little bit, and I talked a bit last week on confidence and motivation and purpose. And these ideas that, at least those three, you really need to get it started in something, understanding that those foundations will not be there at the start. Once you start, your reticular activating system looks backwards and says, hey, look how far I've come. Right on, man. And says, okay, I've done this, therefore I can actually have the confidence, I can have the motivation, I can have the purpose to continue on that road, whatever that looks like, way into the future, right? So those are little tricks, and you have to sort of trick your mind, because your mind is that conscious part of yourself. And this is where I want to get kind of into the consciousness idea, because that conscious part of yourself is that part that is part of the physical realm. This is your active experience. And your active experience is driven by all of those things I just mentioned, the beliefs, the identity triggers, those 6 different things, this current situations, past situations. Every single second that you are trying to create and be in your conscious self, all of these aspects of you, and just imagine it, all of these aspects, they're all invisible, they're all back here, kind of in the back of your head going, say this, do this, be this, come on, just anything, do it, be, ah. And your conscious mind is going, okay, and what happens is you end up sort of in this pendulum swing. And this is one of the 3 types of energy in the world and the universe, is the pendulum. And I talked about pendulums a bit on Friday. But I talked about pendulums in terms of pendulums that try to get your attention. Corporations, teams, tags, governments. They give a little bit to you, and then they take some from you. And they give a little bit to you, and they take some from you. And when, I likened this to like going to Starbucks. If you're a person that likes having your Starbucks every single day, great. You go. You get a drink that you feel fairly confident in the quality of. I love it, Aurelia. You get a drink that you're fairly sure of the quality of, because they have consistency across all of their locations. So you go and you get your coffee drink, and you know it's going to spike you. You know it's going to taste good. You love it. You're going to pay $8 for a large because Why not? It sounds like it's really good today, right? Hell yeah. It's something you do every day. In fact, it's part of the community that you get from the baristas, from the people there. Even in pandemic, I'm finding there are people that sit outside with a newspaper. Just, they will drive through the drive-through, park in the parking lot, sit outside with a newspaper in their car, sipping their Starbucks, because it's part of their routine. It's part of their community. It's part of their identity. See, now this pendulum of Starbucks has given them identity. And on the flip side, they get $8 taken away from them. That goes towards the corporation. They get the time, the energy to sit there and be there. So there's always this give and take. And that's part of being in this physical world. In the duality of our universe, there's energy and matter. Okay? You right now, being here, are part of matter. But that still doesn't mean you are not energy. You are energy at the same time, because all of your cells broken down are molecules and atoms that are vibrating with that energy. That subatomic energy, that quantum energy. I love it. But the thing with this world in particular is that even before we're born, the subconscious is trained that there's duality. There's being and not being. And as we grow, our senses are binary, okay? You're either touching something or you're not touching something. You are tasting something or not tasting something. You are smelling something or not smelling something. And in this way, the brain sort of organizes itself saying, okay, well, I have to have both sides of the equation. I have to understand a scale. And this is a conscious brain here. I have to understand the scale. And as you get older, and I would say in the teenage years, eventually that scale starts to go, this is too much. I'm going to hand this off to the unconscious mind. Unconscious mind, you keep track of this scale. So now we've got the conscious mind that's going, look, everything exists in a duality. Things I want, the things I don't want, things moving around. This is duality. And if you're into Buddhism, you know that duality and desire are part of a natural state of being. And that desire can also lead to suffering, because as you're on that pendulum, there are things you cannot have. As long as you tell yourself one thing, the opposite's also going to be true. Ooh, that's a tricky one. So in a duality, both of them are true. And that's where the conscious brain gets a little confused, because I don't want to go to the store gets stored in the rest of the unconscious, right? The subconscious, the unconscious, as store. Store. And the more that you tell yourself something like, I don't want to go to Starbucks. I don't want to get another coffee drink today. I don't want a dark mocha frappuccino, because that would be really bad for me today. God, sounds really good now. As much as you tell yourself that, the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind, actually latches onto the idea not of not, but of being. The core idea that is behind the conscious thought is what gets kind of locked in there. And that actually, because the consciousness, the self-consciousness, who we are, that actually is sort of that identity, has that pendulum. It's all about polarity, the duality. The unconscious mind, and this is, so we've got the unconscious and we've got the subconscious, and they're both sort of tied in. That's its own spectrum. But the whole point of that part of being is protection. It is very much about safety, about things in the past that have helped you. And again, a lot of this is based in the fight or flight response, and I believe that they are stored in the body, sort of like 5-element Chinese theory says that there are organs and places in the body that these responses, these traumas, go and can continue to poison us. And what happens is they get stagnant there. Stagnancy is another type of energy in the universe, one being the pendulum, another being stagnancy. And when there's stagnancy in the energy, things aren't moving, things aren't transitioning, things aren't energizing you. In Chinese medicine, that's qi. The qi is not circulating in the body properly, and the qi being the energy of life, that stuff should circulate right? So the unconscious is really all about the unconscious. Okay, here's how I'm distinguishing it so you can keep up with me. And this is just a concept because, again, functional MRIs, there's no actual locations for this stuff, but energetically, we find in a lot of different Eastern philosophies and certainly in metaphysics, a lot of this stuff feels true. The unconscious is part of your active experience, the thing that you are doing now, here. But it is not feeding you memories, it's not feeding you lines, it's not feeding you thoughts. It's just back there coalescing, okay, with your consciousness, and that's part of what, helps you drive your skin suit. Congratulations. And then there's the subconscious that really, a lot of the subconscious, I believe, is in the tissues, is in the body. And the more, maybe you've seen the video on YouTube, there's a TED Talk about the woman who's like, get up and stand like Superman or Wonder Woman. Just do it for like 30 seconds, and all of a sudden your whole countenance changes, your emotions change, your feelings change, your body changes, metabolism speeds up. That is actually working with the subconscious that is in the body to transform the brain's reactions and release proteins and markers into the body that help it feel better. And that's why we tie in the subconscious with the body and the unconscious with the limbic brain, the midbrain, the spinal cord certainly, and certain portions of the back of the head, back of the brain. But there's one more area here, because we've got the conscious, and this is duality. We've got the unconscious and the subconscious. That's really all about balance, okay? They don't want change. The unconscious and the subconscious doesn't want change. What they learned forever ago, regardless of the trauma that it caused, or regardless of the pain that you experienced, they don't want to give that up. They're comfortable with the way things are, and that might not be good for you. That might be leading to bad habits. That might be leading to emotional breakdowns, anxieties, because all of these things stay in there and keep percolating because they're triggers that help you know at some point that you need to make a different decision for your health and your vitality. But there's the step above this. And this is the consciousness that I think really holds the most potential, because this is the super consciousness. This is the quantum consciousness, the quantum field of possibility. This is the idea that you are vortexed into, right? The part of you that's conscious is one, okay, what if we flip that on its head? What if you are the iceberg? And you, the conscious you, the part that is trying to figure out your identity and your wants and your needs and all the stuff that is active worrying that's going on and just causing a mess in your head, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Wouldn't it make sense that icebergs would be like upside down in eternity and quantum space? That makes sense to me. Why not? They go one way in water and the other way for the rest of the universe. Sure. So if you're just the tiny portion, then the unconscious part of you is 95% other than that. You are 5%, your conscious mind is 5% of just your whole daily actions, your whole everything. But beyond that is like the ocean part. And that is the ocean of energy that you are constantly existing in, that you are living in. And that is the greater part, the conscious universe. It's kind of hard to put my mind into it to describe something like this, because this is a piece of you that's connected to every other human. If just being human and being in a body at some point in history, past and future, creates the vibration, the universal vibration of being a human, then you share a vibration with everybody. And if we can get up past that duality, up past the conscious unconscious balance sense of trying to like work and manage all this trauma and beliefs, and up into this place where everything is possible, up into the place where our imagination and our creativity flow, then we're moving past identity. We are moving, as soon as we move into unconscious, we are moving past self-identity, certainly the self that is trying to challenge and judge and interpret our own selves, which is hard enough. And when you move into subconscious, it's really interpreting the traumas, the beliefs, the things that made us who we are, and those are hard to shift. Like we do that with hypnosis, we do that with RTT therapy, hypnotherapies, NLP to some degree, CBT to some degree, because what that's doing in a lot of senses is reverse engineering the neural networks that tie in with those tissues, with those proteins, and it's changing the reflection of one piece of that active memory to change essentially how the body interprets whatever that trauma is. But if we move beyond that, we can do even more. And this is sort of what I'm learning and sharing with you guys as I learn and share. So the quantum field then is the recognition that everything you think, everything you feel, everything you believe can kind of open up to the possibility of anything. And if you can raise beyond the challenges, the trauma, and really focus on what you want to build, without swinging down into duality saying, okay, no, well, this is what I don't want, really focusing on what you want to build, where you want to go, what that looks like, what that feels like. And this is a common visualization trick. But part of the challenge with the visualization tricks is that it doesn't anchor you back to now, and it doesn't give you a direction. And that, I think, is part of the major trick here, is that after you live in that world and embrace it, and it has to be something for you, it has to be something you really want to do, because if it's based in an identity that is not you, if it's based in not being enough, if it's based in needing to be perfect, if it's based in some of those things, then it is really still relying on subconscious activity, which draws you right back into the duality of life. Hard to move forward with that, right? Hard to move forward when you get something and then it feels like it's going to be taken away. So you're always afraid of it getting taken away. And what happens? It gets taken away. So you go up a little bit higher, and this is sort of Abraham Hicks' vortex again. That quantum field is the vortex. It's everything you want it to be. But if we can go up to there and release all of that belief, just understand you are good enough at any given day to approach any situation. And if you can't solve a problem, maybe you're not meant to solve it right now. If you can't fix a situation, maybe you're not meant to fix it. You are exactly you, exactly perfectly you, right here, right now, at the right time. That's all you ever are. That's all you ever can be. You are a co-creator in this world, not a creator. You come into it and you are sharing your life, your experience, your love, your joy, your feelings, your fears. You're sharing that with the rest of the world, taking your steps, and everyone else in their part of their quantum field and their perception, their reality, they are doing the exact same thing. So when you embrace this sort of thought, the next step is sort of to step into where you are now. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Because when you imagine that future and really grasp onto it and feel it in here, and then you step back to now, we get to the third type of energy in the universe. Pendulum, stagnant, and flowing. Because if you can see where you want to go, and you're not breaking into all of those identities, those personalities, those tricks, those tactics, those things you've told yourself, your stories of the past, the environment that you have to be in, when you can move past that stuff and be who you are now and see that future, that creates a flow. And then it's just a matter of taking actions. And the universe is favorable to the conservation of energy. So if it's a big action, or if it's a big future, expect it's going to take a little time, or give it permission to take time. Give it permission to show up in your life however you want. Because the less you try to control that portion, once you imagine that future and you are actively taking steps in that direction, the universe has a way of making things work out. So tomorrow we're going to talk about some of the steps you actually can take, because once we create this quantum field, once we kind of raise up out of the consciousness and the subconsciousness and kind of really embrace the quantum field and the open possibility of everything, we actually need to come back to the physical nature and take steps that move us in that direction, because things do not get automatically drawn towards each other. Things have to have a resonance and a magneticity. Yeah, okay, why not? that pull towards one another. They move towards one another to be unified. And I actually think that has a lot to do with being quantumly tangled from our mindset and our brain and our neurons and those electrons and those calcium ions that set off neurons. So much fun stuff. So tomorrow we will talk about some of the active steps in the physical realm you can take to help move yourself forward. And some of these are going to sound familiar, and they should. Almost every guru and coach and teacher tries to get us to embrace these things, but it's hard because we're people, we're human, and we like to be stubborn. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening. If you're interested in the work I do, if you're interested in creating your own life, your own vision, your own... Let me try that again, right? So I've got a program. It's called Manifest Design. It is 8 steps and 8 sessions, and they're all about setting up your vision, your brand values, your customers. It's really about creating what that vision is for the future, and I work with you to really create it, really get it strong and visualized, and then I use RTT therapy to really anchor it in, program your mind, loop it right in with the quantum field, so that as you take steps building your business, building your future, building whatever it is you're building. I've worked with a couple people building brands, products, their own personal brand. It's all about really finding the words to help drive you forward and connect with the world around you so you can take steps in an appropriate fashion. If you're interested in that, you can direct message me or check out my website, www.thinktankcreative.net, and you can schedule for a free 30-minute consultation on there. I would love to spend 30 minutes chatting with you to hear about your vision, to hear about your life, to hear what you're trying to build, and to see if, the program is the right thing to help you take the next step. So that's it. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the notes. I respond to everybody and anybody. And one more time, Teresa, happy birthday, Patrick. I hope you are taking her somewhere fun tonight. I hope you guys eat cake. Do something fun. All right, guys. I love you all. Take care. Bye.